my name is 𝗔𝗯𝗱𝗶𝗄𝑚, grade 4 Aguila. The title of the story is 𝗔𝗲𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂, story by 𝗤𝗵𝗲𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂, illustration by 𝗏𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Lived a group of small silvery fish called minnows. One day, while feeding upon some mosquito larvae, they found a small jelly-like ball stuck on the roots of an old mangrove tree. Because it was soft and transparent, they could see a tiny black fish-like creature wriggling about inside. A few days later, the jelly-like egg seemed to change shape. Suddenly, out pooped a teeny black fish with a big head, some feathery gills, and a wiggly tail. Because it had a roly-poly shape that wiggled its way through the water, the minnows called it pollywog. The silver minnows spent most of their time babysitting the pollywog. The pollywog stayed hide-and-seek with the fish. It loved all the attention. It felt like the most special fish in the swamp. Among the group of smooth gliding silver minnows, the perky wiggle of the black pollywog stood out. One afternoon, after a brief drizzle, the pollywog and the minnows spotted something that looked like an oddly shaped, moss-covered stone. Suddenly, two large bulging eyes blinked at them. A second later, with a quick flick of the tongue, the odd creature caught a mosquito. "Yuck!" cried the pollywog. "What weird thing is that? A stone with eyes and a tongue?" the stoutest minnow whispered. At this, the pollywog eyes winded. "Those shifty eyes are giving me the creeps," it said. "It looks harmless," said the smallest minnow in the group. "Maybe it's just resting." "Well, it should go rest elsewhere," snapped the pollywog. "I'd have to grow creepy, bulging eyes first before I allow that thing into the water." Before you know it, our swamp will get crowded with its more of its kind. The minnows with the yellow tail swam forward. "But it's all alone for now," the minnow said. "Maybe it needs a friend." The pollywog refused to listen any longer. It gulped in some water, then pushed the water out of the gills to help propel it along. It puffed. It swam away with an angry wiggle of its tail. For now, the pollywog didn't want to be friends with its friends. In the following days, the pollywog stayed at the farther end of the swamp. Pretended to enjoy the company of an old snail, clinging to a rooting branch which had fallen into the water. It refuses to join the minnows, which were still curiously swimming around the moss-covered rock. Every day, the minnows would check if the stone with bulging eyes was still there. To catch their attention, the pollywog would puff itself up with air to make itself look important. However, the minnows were so interested in the new creature that they did not notice the pollywog's growing moodiness. Gradually, without noticing it, the pollywog would turn green with envy each time the minnow would fuss over the stone-like creature. Since this happened often, the pollywog's shiny black skin took a splotchy color of a brownish green. To vent its anger, the pollywog would swim and charge into a mound of pebbles. Later on, a pair of legs grew near the base of its wiggly tail. These legs were good at knocking down pebbles. By the time two stubby front legs also began to show, the pollywog's tail has already shrunk. Even the feather-like gills near its mouth had disappeared. Breathing underwater became difficult. It now had to put its head out of the water to gulp in air. Finally, the pollywog decided to go back to where the minnows were playing. This time, it didn't wiggle. swam by kicking the water with its long hind legs. "Hello there," the minnow with the yellow tail called out. "What's your name?" The pollywog looked around. There was no other swamp with it. "Who? Me?" the pollywog croaked. It croaked a deep, low tone. It has not pollywog's high-pitched chatter at all. A few gnats flew above its head. Instinctively, the pollywog rolled out its long, sticky tongue to catch the insects. "Yuck! This is disgusting! What's happening to me?" But it still couldn't stop the urge to gobble up the nasty gnats stuck to its tongue. "I'd have to grow creepy, bulging eyes first before I do something like that again," it continued to croak. "Pollywog," the stoutest minnow said, "is it you?" The pollywog let out a faint gurgle with its tongue. It blinked its huge, bulging eyes. It looked like it's about to cry. "It's me," it croaked, "but it's not the old me." "Wow," said the smallest minnow. "We thought you were the stone creature that was here before. You look just like it now." "Can I still be your friend?" the pollywog asked. "Of course, come, join us," said the curious minnows. "Are you sure you'd still like me for a friend?" The pollywog croaked. "I've lost my wiggle. You like me for my wiggle?" "Yup," said the stoutest minnow. "We like you for your wiggle and your playfulness." The smallest minnow followed up. "And even for your new odd-looking self, hop in, join us," the third minnow said with a wave of its yellow tail. With that welcome cheer, the pollywog, now a frog and not a fish, hopped for joy and leaped into the water to play with its minnow friends. Now, I'm going to tell you the life cycle of a frog. A frog spends the early stages of its life in water. It starts inside an egg that its mother frog has laid on a shallow pond or other body of fresh water. The egg is covered with jelly-like substance, so it won't dry up as it floats on the water's surface. Soon, the little creature grows and begins to move about inside the egg. After a few days, a pollywog or a tadpole wriggles out. It moves like a fish, wiggling its long tail as it explores its home and looks for water, plants, or insects to eat. The pollywog breathes through its gills like a fish too. It doesn't have a neck, so it looks very round. As this pollywog grows, its tail disappears and legs begin to sprout from its body. Its gills disappear too, and a pair of lungs start to develop. The pollywog now has to swim to the surface to breathe. When its legs have all appeared and its tail completely gone, the small froglet is ready to leave the water. It may wait years to become a full-grown frog and starts its own family. Remember that a true friend loves at all times. My name is 𝗔𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗴𝗏, grade 4 Aguila. Thank you for listening.